All right, we are live. Welcome, everybody. Hello, and happy Wednesday or hump day, as some of you may refer to it. My pleasure to be streaming to you live once again here on CC Design this time, and of course, my various other channels that I stream on. Today, we're going to be doing a topic, once again, based on your feedback. When I asked people, what do you want to learn? And a lot of people said, just masking, like how to do basic masking. In Photoshop, what is masking? When would you use masking? What's masking for? So forth and so on. So we're going to be doing that today. Finishing touch, I see you over there on Twitter. Welcome, everybody. Marilyn, so glad to see you as well. Victoria, good afternoon, everybody. And time to dive in. So let's get to this masking topic. We'll talk about masking 101. I'll give you, of course, some tips and tricks on how you can implement masking, or when you want to implement masking, or when you should implement masking. So I see Chill Bill, I see UMX Jack, I see Not, if I'm saying that correctly, Bassarat and Shahid, and welcome everyone. And if I pronounced your name wrong, I apologize up front. All right, great to see everybody here, and let's go ahead and switch over to the computer so we can get going. Janet, I see you. Jerry as well. Let's go. All right, so I'm on my computer now, and I have a picture of a mask. And you're like, well, that's an old school mask. That's like from the 60s TV shows. What's this mask all about? Well, this mask actually helps me explain what masking really is. Back in the old days, you know, superheroes or villains would wear a mask like this, and you can see that the mask is black and the background is white. Simple. But what this really relates to and how it will help you understand things in Photoshop is if the mask is black, it hides things. If you introduce white, it reveals things. So just remember, if you're ever confused, which one do I need? The black mask that Terry showed me will hide something. That's what masking really is all about inside of Photoshop. Now, some people also look at masking as cutting something out. And yes, that is a form of masking, and we will get to that. I have an example of that, how you could use that with masking and some of the new features in Photoshop. But masking 101 is really about hiding, covering up, and revealing only parts of an image that you want to reveal. And then again, like I said at the end, I'll give you a masking example where we cut something out of the background. All right, can I do fashion illustrations live one day? I can bring a guest on to do illustrations. You don't want me doing fashion illustrations. But yes, that is a topic that I can bring like Victoria on to talk about illustrations. All right, let's go ahead and close this mask. We don't really need this one. And by the way, that was just for a basic tip in Photoshop. That was just hitting the letter F twice, F, to go to full screen, to hide the rest of Photoshop's interface. So that way you get to see the interface. You get to see what it looks like. Or, I'm sorry, you get to see your image without the interface. You get to see what your image looks like. And that's what we did. So let's close this. We don't need this mask anymore. And I'm going to start with a very, very simple example. I'm going to open up this image. So I have two images of the same bride, of course, two different looks. So one where she's kind of looking off to the side. I like that one. And then I have another one. Actually, that's not the one I want first. Let's close that one. I want this one first. So I have this one where she's looking down. And then I have the other one, which we already saw, where she's looking off to the side. I want to combine them together. I want to do some compositing. And of course, I can go in and drag this image in that I want to use, the first one I open, and it will come over. Great. And of course, now we're covering one image on top of the other. That's not the look I'm looking for, obviously. But let's get it in position first, then we'll deal with masking. Well, I don't want them facing the same way. I want her to kind of be looking at herself. So to do that, I'll right-click on this image before I commit to it. And I'll just say flip horizontal. So that will make the image face the other way. Great. Now I can just pull the image in place where I want it. I want it up there. And of course, with the new proportional scale by default, I'll just grab the corner and scale it down. And then I can just either hit enter or click away to commit. So now we've got a layer on top of our background. There's our background. There's our layer in the layers panel. Pretty simple. Now, in order to mask this, I could do it a couple of different ways. Well, first of all, I want to just even see what I got so far. So I can lower the opacity temporarily of the one on top. So I can see, oh, well, they're a little too close and we don't need all that wall behind her. So let's go ahead and pull that back a little bit. Let's get a little separation. And I kind of like the look and feel of just the lower opacity version on top. But the problem is, and I don't mind the two faces, but I do mind the two sets of hands. That just looks weird. The two flowers, that looks weird. So that's the problem in this, and that's what I would want to mask. So I'm going to pull the layers panel up so we can just make it front and center because we're going to be using it a lot. I'm going to pull it down a little bit. And I'm going to introduce you to my first mask. My first mask is going to be on the top layer. And again, maybe a little bit more opacity there, just about something like that. And I'm just going to go ahead and click Add Layer Mask. That's this icon in the lower corner or lower third icon from the bottom of the layers panel. And that's what we want. So and by the way, I was holding down a key to zoom in. If I let go of that key, it's Add Layer Mask. If I hold down the Command key, it's Add Vector Mask. All right, so we're going to deal with layer mask for now. So let's go ahead and add a layer mask, and nothing happens. Except on the layers panel, it added this icon and it highlighted it. And the way you know it highlighted or which one is highlighted, it'll be the one with the white outline around it. So if I click on this one, now that one's highlighted. So in other words, this is working on the image, this is working on the mask. You can only work on one at a time, so pick the one you want to work on. So if I wanted to retouch the image, my dog hears something or sees something. If I wanted to retouch the image, I'd be on the one on the left. If I want to work on the mask, I'd be on the one on the right. So just know which one you're on. And if something's not working, that typically means you forgot to switch. You're on the wrong one. All right, so I want to be on the mask. And now, remember what we first learned. Black hides, white reveals. So if I go grab my paintbrush and I'm on the black foreground color, which means I'll be painting in black. And if you ever want to set those back to their defaults, just hit the letter D and then the letter X. D is in default, X is in switch them or swap them, and that will put the black on top. All right, so now I like using a stylus, so I'll use my Wacom here, and I can just start painting in to reveal that original image below. So we can get that all painted in, and I can bring her color of her shoulder back in, and more importantly, I can get rid of the extra set of hands and the extra flower. So I can kind of just make this whatever I want, artistically or dramatically or however you want to call that. And if I make a mistake and if I go too far, that's the beauty of masks, is that they are non-destructive. So I can go ahead and bring all of this back in just by painting black on the mask, getting all of this the way I want it. And if you missed a spot, don't worry, you can always come back and keep painting. And if I say, oh, well, I kind of want some more of the flower or maybe less of the flower, if you change your mind, maybe I want less of that flower or more of this flower. If you change your mind, just switch colors. So I just hit the letter X again, and now I'm painting with white. So therefore, I'm now hiding again. I'm now hiding this image and bringing back in the other image. So black hides, white reveals. You switch back and forth whenever you want. So hit the letter X again. Now I'm back on black, and I can go right back to what I was doing because it's non-destructive. I haven't lost anything. I haven't destroyed anything. I haven't done anything to the image that will hurt the image. I can always bring it back. And that is the beauty. Oop, now see, I went too far. I started masking out the other person's arm. Hit the letter X, bring that arm back in. All right, now what does the mask actually look like? If we were to look at that mask and the mask is already selected. So if we were to hit the Shift key and click on it, that will turn the mask off. If we were to hold down the Option or Alt key and click on it, that will actually show the mask. So that's just scribbling black all over the image. And you can work like this. So you can say, ooh, I missed all of this. This should be masked out too. There shouldn't be any part of that ghosted out image on this side of the frame. So I can go ahead and just fill in any spots that I may have missed, any spots that should be painted in, I can go ahead and paint in right there on the mask. Hold down your Option or Alt key to reveal or get back to your image to show that you're not, or I don't want to say turn the mask off because you're not turning it off, but turn off the view of the mask. So Option or Alt shows the actual mask. Shift key, I'm sorry, I was hitting the letter X. Shift key turns the mask on or off. Can you explain the difference between a layer versus vector mask? Pixels, vectors. So if you want to mask with vectors, that's when you do a vector mask. A good example of a vector mask is the new frame tool. The frames are vectors. So therefore, you're using mathematical lines and curves to do your mask as opposed to pixels. That's the biggest difference. All right. So masking 101. Now let me show you another way to mask. If you don't want to paint or you want your mask to be more consistent, like more of a consistent, like rather than me just painting. So let me get rid of that mask. I just right clicked on it and I'm just going to delete it. That'll bring back the original image. Now let's say I bring back the original image all the way back up to 100%. So now it's just literally the image on top right where we started. I add the layer mask in again. It's white. We know if we add black to it, it will hide. Well, let's look at a different way of adding black to it. Instead of me painting black on it, why don't we use one of the Photoshop tools to add black to it? Let's use the gradient tool. So my gradient right now is set from black to white. And that means that when I drag it, it's going to drag in from black to white. So I would want to drag from the right to the left because I want to hide this part of the image and gradually go over to that part of the image. Just another way to do it. Now that's again 100%. Now there's nothing stopping you from still going to that mask that you just created and painting black on it. If you want to hide specific things, you can. But you don't, if you just want to do a gradual mask that way, you can. If you want to redo it, no problem. Maybe you want to make it more gradual all the way across. You do it that way and you get a nice blend. Again, I don't like the double hands, so I would absolutely go in and paint the parts I don't like, but you have the ability to do it that way. All right, Claudia, yes, the process is easy. I don't make it look easy. I just show you what you can do. It is easy. That part at least is easy. All right, so that's one way of masking. Let's talk about another example. Let's talk about, let's combine some other images. So let's turn this one off for a minute. And let's say we want to bring in the groom. Now, this is not the real groom. This is just another stock photo. I don't know who her groom was. Let's say we want to bring this in. And of course, the groom should be not primary in the image. The groom should be like, like kind of an afterthought here and maybe off to the side there. Great. And we know that we can lower the opacity just like we did before. Awesome. And maybe now I kind of just want to, well, hang on, before I lower the opacity, maybe I just kind of want to see if I could just bring in part of him. Like I want to mask out everything, maybe except his face. So I can do this another way. I can add a mask and then invert the mask, or I can just add an inverted mask. So the way I would invert the mask after the fact is hit Command-I on the Mac, PC Control-I. So that means that the image is still there. It's just completely hidden under a mask. So this is before, that's after. And I kind of need to see the before because I need to see where his face was. All right, so I know his face is right about there. And if I go now paint with white, and I'm on my brush, there we go, I can then start to bring just a little bit of him in. Like so. That creepy head on your back. All right, there we go. And I can, of course, scale that up. Make that a little bigger. It's just nowhere to put that where it won't be creepy. But let's go ahead and put it there for now. And also, you know what? We can do this. This would make it a little bit better if he's kind of maybe looking the other way. No, that doesn't make it better. That makes it worse. Undo. All right, so that's just a creepy photo of a guy. But anyway, just showing you another way to mask is to start completely masked and then reveal parts, as opposed to having to paint the whole guy out just to leave a space. You know, mask the whole thing and just reveal the face. Just reveal the parts that you want. And again, you can keep going. So I'm on the mask. I'm on white. I can just keep showing as much of this as I want with any tools that I want to show it. And I can just keep painting, keep painting, keep painting until I bring in as much of him as I want. Oh, brought in too much. Switch back to white and hide the parts that I don't want. All right, I'm going to press harder because I was pressing lightly with my Wacom and therefore not removing as much as I wanted. All right, so masking 101. All right, next up. And of course, you can do this with multiple images. So if you wanted to drag in another one like that, and then maybe move that one down a bit, maybe under there. There we go. And same thing, we'll now pick him up, move him into a less creepy place. I don't know that that place exists, but there he is. And the same thing here, I can add a mask to the layer I just added. There's the mask, nothing's on it yet. We can use the same gradient technique. We can go up from maybe an angle this time and do it that way. We can start from down here, maybe do it that way. We can do less of a transition, so it's more of a harder mask. Any way that we can do more of a transition, so it's more of a transition. Any way that you want to composite together. Now, I would never want this hard line. So if the gradient didn't give me what I wanted, then I would simply go back to my brush and just make sure I paint out this line. Like I would never want a line through someone's face like that. All right, so we just do some, oh, too far. Bring some of that back and so forth and so on. And of course you can always, I'm using pressure, but you can always lower the opacity of your brush. So if you want to paint back in at an opacity, you can do it that way as well. All right, Anel, you're quite welcome. So with that said, let's get rid of that one. And where are we on time? Let's do this one. Let's talk about masking in terms of, oh, no. Before we do that one, we'll do that one last. I got one more before that. Oh no, did I go out of it? I did. Hang on for a second, guys. I closed the folder that I wanted by mistake. So I got to get to it again. So it's here. It's going to be here. It's going to be here. And there we are. All right. So here are the photos I want. So a friend of mine years ago, a colleague of mine, actually, these are her kids. And she was like, I love this picture with my son smiling. But this is the picture where my youngest daughter is waving, but he's not smiling. You get where we're going with this. So let's open them both up. And now I've got both images open in Photoshop. So they're just open in tabs. Here's one. That's the one we actually want to use as the background because 3 of the kids are in the right position. Something weird is going on back there we don't want. But anyway, 3 of the kids are right in this one. This one is the one where we need to replace the other kid's head because he's smiling in this one, laughing. That's the one we want. So we're going to take this image. I'm just going to grab the move tool, drag it up to the other tab. When the other one shows up, drag it down. And that's how you move one image to another. Now, the next thing is I need to get them aligned. And typically I would do this using the edit menu and I would auto align layers. But because there's so much difference, it didn't do a good job. So I'm going to do it manually. But just know that if like you literally shot this on a tripod, click, and the images are like the same, you could use auto align layers and it will do it for you. All right, but anyway, I'm going to do it manually. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to go ahead and take the top layer, lower the opacity so I can see where he is. Okay, he's right there. Bring him up. I might zoom in, kind of get more better aligned, more better. kind of keep now his head's turned too, so it's not going to be perfect, but just kind of get the eyes aligned, maybe the ears aligned. Whatever I want to align on. Yeah, his head's kind of turned in the other photo, so it won't be perfect, but just pick something you want to align on. Maybe that's probably a better alignment. And then, of course, we zoom back out. We bring the opacity back up. And now we just have that one photo on top of the good photo below. So what do? We add a mask that hides the whole photo on top. And we just bring back in the top part we want. So I showed you how to invert a mask after the fact. You can also go in, hold down your Option key, and add a mask that way, and it just automatically inverts it. So hold down your Option or Alt, click the mask tool, boom, that will do it. All right, so now we've got the good image on top of the child, or the guy, the boy. We got the good image of the boy on top, but it's completely masked out. So what we're going to do, zoom in, and this will not always work perfectly, especially if the images aren't the same. So take it with a grain of salt. Your images may work better, yours may not work as good. But let's go ahead and grab the brush tool. Let's make a smaller brush. And we can start to bring in the one we want with white, because we're painting on the black mask. And we'll start bringing in the happier face. There we go, there it is. And when you're doing this, you gotta make sure you don't leave something weird behind. So just, like, I'm gonna do this whole shoulder thing because there's a lawnmower or something weird behind them anyway. And so let's get all of that out of the photo. There we go, go up here. And I know I'm bringing in too much of the background. It's okay, that white halo just lets me know where I am and where I need to come back and fix it. Oh, nope. X, I don't want the other hand. I didn't even know there was another hand. We just want that, all right. Because he's already got both his hands. His hands are right there. We don't need to introduce a third one. All right. Now, see how this is, the jacket's going to be the problem because they're not aligned. So I might end up doing some patching and cloning after the fact. But now that I got the good head in there, I can go in now and switch back to white. Make a smaller brush. Oh, black, I mean. Make a smaller brush and hide those pieces I don't want. Go back in there and hide that little halo around his head. There we go. Hide or bring back whatever that is. Or get rid of it. Get rid of it. There we go. Still not liking that. There we go. And looks good. At first glance, you would never even notice the jacket. But that's the point, is that you're masking, you're taking, you can do this with, especially with a group. You can take multiple shots where someone had their eyes closed, someone didn't, someone smiled, someone didn't, so forth and so on. And then put it all together. So let me show you the finished one of that I did years ago, because I was like, oh, there's a PSD from 2010. I wonder how I did it literally 9 years ago. Like, how was that? How did I do that one? So I opened it up. I was like, oh yeah, they look good. Like I really did a good job. But then I wanted to see the mask. Like, okay, so I did some vibrance adjustments, some exposure adjustment layers, all that. And keep in mind, today's the first time I've seen this file in 9 years. Like, I forgot everything I've done. So I said, oh, let me turn off some of this stuff to see what I actually did back then. And I was like, oh, that's the mask I created. I took a totally different approach last time. I took the approach I wouldn't take today. So that's another way you know you're getting better, when you go back and look at your old work and say, oh my God, I can't believe I did it that way back then 9 years ago. But it worked. She was happy. This was the, let me revert it because I don't remember what I turned off and on. But that was the final image, and she was ecstatic because she got everybody smiling, everyone looking, everyone waving, and brightened up the faces a little bit, and so forth and so on. I would do it totally different today, but at least I can see my progress from 9 years ago. All right, now let's take a look at one more. And this one you may have seen me do before, but for those of you who are new to my streams and my masking, this will be another masking example, but this will be the one that people usually ask is, how do I cut something out of the background and mask it and do that? That's another way that people look at masking. So take two scenes. These are totally not shot at the same time, not shot at the same location. This is like in a woodsy area. This is out in a pasture. The first thing you have to look at is, well, what's gonna make this work? She has no legs, so we can't introduce legs that aren't there unless we have them in another photo. So the first thing I need to do is pull this down to where it would be believable. Okay, she's down there. All right, great. We don't have the legs to put there. Then I probably would scale her down a bit because she probably wouldn't be that big compared to the horse, depending on where she's standing. But let's say she's going to be standing right here. So she probably need to be smaller. All right, so let's go with that for now. Next up, I need to select her so that I can get rid of the background. So I would normally go to my quick select tool and I would normally start making a selection of her. But now I don't have to do it that way because we've got this beautiful button once you're on a select tool called select subject. So I'll click select subject. That will figure out what the subject is. Did a really good job. Now it did not do a great perfect job on the hair, but hard edge selections rarely do. So what I'm looking for right now, what I'm looking at is I'm just making sure I'm going around the image myself visually just to make sure it didn't miss something important. I'm not worried about the hair, we'll get to that. But I'm just looking like it didn't cut off her eye, it didn't do something weird. Just making sure we didn't miss something. Because sometimes I've seen it like cut out the eye that's on the edge because it looks like a socket. And I just want to make sure it's not doing that. Okay, so it didn't leave out anything weird. So then we go to the very next button, which has the word mask in it. Select and mask. So we'll hit select and mask. And it looks like magic. Oh my God, it did it for you. Oh, how did you do? No. Okay, so let's take into a couple of settings that I already have. First and foremost, I have it set to show it to me on layers. I could have it set to show me the overlay, to show me that it's not perfect yet. I could have it set to show it to me on white, to show me that it's not perfect yet. I can have it set to show me the mask. That hair mask is not perfect yet. But if I, for example, let's go to overlay, I can see, oh, there's still some of the other sky in there. And that works in this case because there's a sky behind her anyway. But let's say there was no sky behind her and you weren't putting it on something different, then that would not work. So what I would do is go to my Refine Edge tool, which is right here, I believe. Yes, the Refine Edge brush tool. And I would make my brush smaller. And I would go outside of the hair and paint into the hair, because wherever the plus sign is, that's what you're trying to eliminate. You're trying to eliminate the old sky. So I would just come in here and just paint out, and it will automatically know wherever the plus sign was that that's the color you're trying to remove. All right, now we're bringing out some more of that hair, and we're just getting that mask to look good. Okay, same thing down here. There's a little bit hair coming from her back below her arm with some of that sky in it. So we just paint that sky out. And that will give us a better mask. Then I can also see way down here on the right-hand side, a little bit of those trees left over there. So I can use like the opposite way. I can hold down the Option key and just literally brush that away. Using the third tool over there, the brush tool. I cut in too much. Let's put that back. There we go. All right, and again, these are just viewing modes. This is not what the reality will look like. Reality will look like what it looks like on layers. So you can set any viewing mode you want. I like that one. I'm also going to do a little bit of a smart radius. And most importantly, this will normally say selection. This is the most important part of this dialog box. You want to change it from selection to new layer with mask. That's what you want. That's what I want 100% of the time. Because what that will do is when I click OK, it'll give me what I just told you. It'll give me a new layer with a mask. Sorry, holding down the wrong key again. There we go. And that's what the mask looks like. So it just basically, she's still there. She's just being masked out by that mask that Select and Mask created for me. And it even kept your original layer. So your original layer is still there. It made a new layer with a mask. Sort of like it said, new layer with mask. That's what it means. So new layer with mask, and now she's cut out. And now you can do all the other things like toning the color a little bit to make it match more of the background, scale it, whatever. But you do have to remember, you can't go any higher because she does still have grass feet. All right, but anyway, there you go. So hopefully you got something out of this masking tutorial. Love playing and doing things like this. Yeah, it's fun actually when you have good subjects and good material to work with and you're trying to create something like I did with the kids. And in situations like this where you just want to take somebody and put them on a different background, using Select and Mask works great. And just doing compositing in general. Masking is always a fun thing to do. To answer that question earlier too about vector mask, so if I go to the new frame tool, and I can start out with a rectangle or an ellipse. So let's say I draw an ellipse, and I put a mask or put something in it, not a mask. I put something in it like maybe this band scene. Drag that in. That's a vector mask. So that's a perfect vector circle mask that's masking out that band shot. So it creates a new kind of layer with a frame on it. And of course it is a layer, so you can do whatever you want with it. And vector masks can also be vectors themselves. So for example, if I go to this one here, I don't know if I have it. Never mind, I don't have it. I was going to show you something that I don't have, so I can't show it. All right, but that's it. Tom, thanks, and Anel, thanks for the compliments. And Marilyn, wow, yes, cool. Thomas, hey, what's up? And Peggy, thank you so much. So with everyone, thank you for watching this. Again, this was one of the most requested things in my What Do You Want to Learn social media post. So Masking 101, you just saw it. Go check it out. Go try it. Go play. Masking's awesome in Photoshop. Oh, wait. I'd be remiss if I didn't show one more thing. Right now, this has a mask. This does not, so forth and so on. I just want to point out one more thing, and that is, if you take all these things, these layers, and you put them in a group, a layer group, so it will basically just, did I click it? Oh, hang on, sorry. All right, let's make a new group. There we go. We make a group, so that's a group of all of those things. Just keep in mind that a group can also have a mask. So now when I mask, paintbrush on black, and we get a bigger brush. What am I doing here? Oh, wrong tool. There we go. Paintbrush on, there we go, bigger brush, black paint. I'm now masking out the entire group. So just keep in mind that if you want to mask a bunch of things at the same time, put them in a group, add a mask to the group. Now you're masking the entire group without hurting or harming the individual layers inside. They're still intact. So if you ever decide you don't want that group mask, you can turn that group mask off. All the other layers don't get touched. So just a quick way of doing a mask to multiple layers at the same time. All right, so now we'll wrap things up. Thanks everybody for watching. You're welcome, Janet. My pleasure for doing this. Photoshop and Lightroom, glad you're here. Seeing you on YouTube. And Andy, wow, yes, it's awesome. Go do it. Go play. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Tomorrow I'm doing a stream, 1 p.m. Pacific time. Same channels. On Facebook, it'll be the Creative Cloud channel, but YouTube and Periscope will be the same. Ask me anything. So this is your chance that if I haven't done a topic yet that you want to see or something you want to see that I can do within a reasonable amount of time, show up to that stream tomorrow and ask me whatever it is, and I will, if within my power, if I have files and examples and time, I will do it during that stream. All right, cheers everybody. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.